Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Foot Traffic. I'm super excited because I have my good friend Robin Long here on the podcast. And Robin, you've already been on the podcast before, so welcome back. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so we're just kind of, I told Robin before we jumped on, I'm like, I want to catch up with you so bad, but I want to catch up with you in front of everybody because this is the stuff that I want to dive into today. It's such a crazy time. Who knows what we're heading back into. Robin's in California, so it might even be a little crazier for you than some of our listeners. But tell me what's going on with you. And actually, before we do that, share a little bit about what you specifically do, work, mom, all of that good stuff, and then we'll dive into everything else.
All the details. Yeah,
Yes.
sure. So I started as a Pilates instructor. So was, traditional Pilates instructor teaching in studios and fitness facilities and building out my in-person private client business, and really spent a couple of years doing that. And that's where I got my start in sort of the entrepreneurial world, was building my clientele. And that's when I really started to study business, because in order to be successful as a Pilates instructor, you have to figure out how to get clients and how to keep clients.
Can I ask you, did that come natural, or were you like, oh shoot, I have to learn the business side of this?
Yes. So it actually did come natural to me. So it was actually interesting because I found myself, which is kind of what led me to where I am today, really leaning in. Like, I loved that part of it. I loved figuring out, and I would say more than the business side of things, it was more the connecting with clients, figuring out what they want, what keeps them around, how they tell their friends about me. Like, the marketing kind of and relational side is what I really was drawn to. And so, to keep the long story really short, I was doing that, but I quickly hit a ceiling and kind of realized, okay, I'm maxed out on my hours. I'm teaching as many hours as I can teach a day. And I'm already can tell I'm going to burn out if I do this for much longer. B, I reached a cap, right? Pretty quickly. So when you're just hour by hour, it was like, I guess this is as much as I can grow. Like, where do I go from here?
Were you kids or pre-kids back then? What was it like? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're already reaching, like maxing out before kids, imagine adding kids to the mix.
Exactly. And so that was where my thought process started to go as well, is, okay, I also know we want to start a family. And so how would that look if I'm already maxed out here and I want to be home with my kids and have something flexible? So it was those things that led me to start taking it online. And so it was probably about 9 or 10 years ago that I launched my first online Pilates program.
Okay.
And launched was a fancy name for it back then, right? I basically figured out how to record classes on my iPhone, send them out via email to anyone that I knew that I could get to sign up, and just went in that way. So that was, 10, 11 years ago. And so now I am all online with my teaching. And I run The Balanced Life, which is a website, community, and an app that provides online Pilates workouts that are specifically designed for busy women who need something that's practical, realistic, gentle on their body, and also really encouraging. And in many ways, kind of, I don't want to say anti-traditional fitness approach, but it's a very gentle, positive, guilt-free, encouraging approach, because as busy women, we've got enough guilt that we're, fighting off in other areas. So that's what I do now.
I love it. And I love seeing all the videos of the moms doing these like 10-minute quick little Pilates videos while the kids are like around, like by their feet and around them and running around. And it just shows real life, right? It's so comforting to see people that don't have the all or nothing mentality, right? Because I don't know about you, and I'm sure you get that a lot too, but like, to me, a little bit is so much better than nothing, right? The person that just ruins the rest of the weekend because they ate one bad thing, or they couldn't work out today, so they're going to scrap it for the rest of the week. How do you teach people or tell them, like being okay with just like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there?
Yes. And this is a huge, huge part of what we talk about and what I teach, because it is, I think a lot of people don't even realize they're stuck in that pattern, the all or nothing, because that's just sort of how we've been trained through diets or through other workout programs that maybe were a little unrealistic for actually what's going on in your life at the time. There are seasons for everything, right? So that's what we talk a lot about. And that's why we kind of have this small steps approach. So 10, 15-minute workouts. We have longer
Mm-hmm.
workouts. If you can do those, great. But I really teach that consistency is more important than intensity.
Mm,
Like if you can do both and that makes you feel great, awesome. But for the people who are struggling with kind of fitting it in,
yeah.
making the time for themselves, or, the season that we're in now, it's like you can start the day with great intentions and who knows what happens by noon.
Yeah.
So the only way through that is to be okay with that shorter workout approach and saying, hey, at least I did something for myself. At least I moved my body. At least I took, that step to build the habit.
Yeah.
And then some days are going to be better than others. And I think if you can, just keep moving forward, that's when you get to see results actually.
Yeah. And I think that can be like that all or nothing mentality. That is a habit and a mindset that can be applied in so many different areas, right? I directly talk to business owners, and yes, I want them to be moving their bodies and staying healthy and using that for the energy we need to run our businesses. But then even using that mentality for maybe, oh, I can't go live today because I like to go for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but I only have 8 and I don't want to do it because I don't want to jump on for only 8 minutes, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but I only can do this, so I'm not going to do it at all. And I think we
Mm-hmm.
have to really work on where are we having that all or nothing mentality and how do we fix that? Because you're right. We're in a season of you better get used to squeezing in what you can when you can, or we're going to have big problems as we wrap up 2020 and move into 2021.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And even the going live, same with launching programs and things like that, right?
Yeah.
If I think this approach served me then too, because if I had to wait until I had it all figured out or it was all perfect or I had
Oh, yeah.
what I see other people doing in place, I would have never done anything.
Yeah.
So,
I hear the getting ready. Oh, I'm getting ready. I'm going to do this as soon as I'm finished getting ready. I'm like, no, no, no.
mhm,
Let's get ready together. Like, let's get it going. Right.
mhm.
So Robin, tell me, we haven't talked in a little bit. So tell me
Yeah.
more about what is going on for you. What does school look like? You've got 4 children. Maybe tell everybody the ages. Like, what is happening in your world right now?
Yes. It's quite a perfect day to be talking about this. It's a perfect storm today. No, yes, I have 4 kids, and ours are very close, our older
Yeah.
2. So one who just turned 7, one who is 4, and then twins who just turned 2. So it's a wild time
Mhm.
in our house all the time. And we're supposed to start back to school this week. So 7-year-old doing distance learning from home.
Okay.
Um, 4-year-old is still in preschool, so he's able to go back to preschool with different,
Okay.
protocols. So that was actually last minute change. We thought he'd be
Okay.
home too. So last minute change, he's able to go back to school, and then the twins are home with a part-time nanny who helps us. So,
Okay.
but then this week. We had everything ready. I had my schedules ready. I had,
Mhm.
we connect on this, right? I had
Yes.
my lunch packed. And Matt and I have it's been 6 months of
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
craziness and just trying to make it work. So we had our eyes on this week. And 4 a.m. in the morning on the first day of school, my 4-year-old walks in with a cough.
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, where did you get a cough? We have not gone anywhere in 6 months. Like, where is the first day? So he can go to school this week. So
Oh,
now we're
no.
home and then our nanny can't come because, we want to keep everyone safe just
Yes.
in case.
Just in case.
It might be from the smoke and the fires out here, but
Yes.
regardless, he has a cough. And so I'm like, the whole week is just a jumble. Now we have no childcare and, but that's a perfect example of,
Yeah.
I'm sure anyone who's listening right now is when that happened, we're like, okay, 2020 is just the year of things that don't go as planned. So we better just keep surrendering and getting used to it and just
Yeah.
trying to roll with it because it's really challenging. But yeah. And so that's what I'm kind of working with on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
Well, and that's the thing. It's preparing for the unexpected and rolling it with it when it happens. Like my kids, fortunately, really did start school on Monday. They're both in full time. I mean, this is the best year ever, Robin. I know I feel so bad even saying this to you, but they're going to school like 9 to 3, Monday through Friday in person. However, we are ready for like the day notice where
Yeah.
they're going to say they're home tomorrow and we're quarantining again, right?
Yeah.
We're waiting for it. We know it's a very big possibility. And instead of complaining about it, yeah, I'll probably complain for that day or a week or something, but then I'm going to go, what are we going to do about it? How do we figure this out? And maybe I won't get to work my full 9 to 3. Like maybe I'll
Mhm.
have to make some sacrifices, but I just keep saying like they're temporary sacrifices,
Yeah.
right? we're going to have to figure it out. So I think another big mindset tip and trick to be thinking about as we head into, I'm sure, some more unexpected news and things like that going on.
Absolutely. And I've been thinking about parents like you who are in that year that is like the first time where both kids are in school.
I know,
and
like I have been waiting for this year for like 5
Yeah.
years, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, don't take this away
I
from
know.
me.
I know.
But it might, okay, I've waited 5 years, I can wait
Yeah.
another year,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever
Yeah.
I need to, I'll
Mhm.
have to. So yeah, you just, I mean, that's life, that's business. So how has COVID affected your business, or just like anything? How has 2020, let's say, affected
Yeah.
your business this year? Any twists or turns or just unexpected things that you're seeing? Has it been a good thing for you with you having online digital classes?
Yeah, so we are online fitness. So it's been a wild ride. When it all, everything changed back in March, we were actually in the middle of a big launch. We
Okay.
do 2 big launches a year, so big open enrollment period. And the day we opened enrollment was the day the world shut down, like the day the NBA got canceled,
Yes.
like everything happened. So that was just like everyone, we are having to pivot quickly. But
Yes.
we're in a unique situation where it's like, okay, online fitness, this is great. This is what people need.
Yeah.
But we're also marketing right now, and like people are sensitive and just trying to pivot. So we plan our launches well in advance. So the emails were all written.
Yes.
Everything was planned months before we
I
even
feel
could have
like you are
imagined this.
such a planner that,
Yeah.
like, I can't imagine you just scrapping all of your emails and starting from scratch in real time.
Yeah. And we just, yeah, if we do that, the amount, so we have, over 100,000 people who go through our challenges each time. So
Yeah. You
we,
guys,
because
Robin, let's
even
just
if I
pause there.
would,
No. Where I'm pausing. Because that is just when Robin first told me that, we were in a mastermind for many, many years together. And she was like, so we've got like 90,000. We're shooting for 100,000. I'm like, 100,000 what? Like, I'm so confused what you're talking about. 100,000 people will sign up for this free workshop, free challenge, give her their email. So just imagine, like, one launch, she can increase 100,000 email subscribers. Like, this is no joke. Like, you are like, this is legit. So let's just stop there. And now
yeah,
you can
yeah.
move on.
So, but with that
Yeah.
comes the responsibility and craziness that it's very hard to pivot mid-launch, because if
Yes.
we even unpublish a campaign, like the amount of people that won't get the email that they're waiting for with the challenge.
Yes.
So that's why we have to be so planned out. And then you have people all over the world. We literally have people all over the world. So we were emailing and speaking to people in Italy, to people in China, to
Yeah.
people in the US. It's like, okay, that's a challenge. How
Yeah.
do I speak well to all of these people? So
Everybody.
that, and then just other events that have happened throughout the year. It's just been
Yes.
a constant pivoting and being really, really sensitive, because, that respect and trust with our audience is one of the most important things. So I feel like I've been called to a new level of leadership for
Mm.
me and my team, of like, what do we do in this situation? So that has definitely been a growing experience. I'm like, oh, okay, never done this before.
Okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, what has been your biggest learning lesson with 2020? Because I'm sure there are many that have come your way, but what is like something that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think there are family lessons that I've learned,
Yeah.
personal lessons, but from a business perspective and really a leadership perspective in terms of leading our community and leading our team. I think I've just been reminded of how important it is to stay in integrity with everything we do. So when there's a crisis happening in the world, or
Yeah.
when, things are changing so fast like they have this year, there's a lot of judgment calls to be made and a lot of
Mm.
pivots to make. And so sometimes, it's just I found myself asking myself a lot this year, like, what is the right thing to do? And I don't know that there is
Yeah.
a right thing.
Yeah.
So, but what I can do is try to stay in integrity with who I am as a person, my word, like
Yeah.
how I've always acted, what I always do. Not that there's not room for growth, but just meaning like, yeah, is this in alignment with me? Is this in alignment with our business? Is this in alignment with our brand? And using that as a guide to make some of the more challenging decisions.
Yeah.
It's really been brought to light because also you've seen a lot of, businesses going through really
Ooh.
public
Yeah.
challenges right now. And so you can't protect yourself from that entirely, but you can know, okay, am I making this choice that's in
Yeah.
alignment with what I believe is to be the best thing to do? And falling
Right.
back on that has been huge.
Yeah, and that's good too because you're right. Not everybody is going to agree with you, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've been in business long enough to know like I cannot make 100% of my clients happy, right?
No.
But I can make sure that I feel good about what I'm putting out and what I'm saying and that I believe it and that I feel that it's true in my like gut. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, like knowing that when you go to put out that content or when you go to, should I email, should I not, should I, right? If you can really feel good about your intentions, then
Mm-hmm.
you have to be okay with other people not necessarily agreeing, right? But then
Exactly.
I think too, when you put out something or do something and you don't get people to agree, ask yourself, like, take a moment, step back and say, like, are they justified? Like, should I have maybe paused or done this or not done
Mm-hmm.
this? And
Always.
yeah, like reflecting on, wow, I didn't see that your side of it. But,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had some uncomfortable conversations that I had to have with some of my clients
Mm-hmm.
throughout
Too.
2020. And
Mm-hmm.
I just respected them for bringing this to my attention and I didn't see it their way. And now I understand. And, there's been so much learning that's going on, but 2020 has been a big year of challenge, but it's also been a big year of growth if you're open to it. And that's
Yeah.
what I want people to see.
Definitely. Definitely. It's forced me to grow as a leader. It's forced me to grow as a person. So
Yeah.
I can absolutely relate to that. Yeah. And then as it relates to, online fitness, it's been an interesting year in that it's been great
Okay.
because I can just continue to offer what we offer. And it's
Yeah.
really
No
like,
pivoting in your products or
yeah,
anything like that.
if anything, we're like leaning in. We're like, this is what
Yes.
we were made for.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
that part has been pretty fun to be able, because I know not everyone is in that situation. So I've I've even had to balance like the guilt in some ways, which is
Yeah.
kind of weird, but of like, okay, I'm not happy gyms are closing. Oh my gosh, no
Yeah.
way. I'm not like, I have this pain for what many businesses are experiencing, and yet mine is one that I can lean into right now. So just
Yeah.
kind of balancing that has been an interesting challenge
Yeah,
too.
that is interesting. And I'll tell you, I mean, I have a brick and mortar and then I have this online business.
Mhm.
And I always tell people too, it would be very hard for any business to say that you have not been affected by COVID in some way. Like there
Mhm.
is most likely somebody that was going to purchase your product, program, or service that maybe lost their job and now they will not,
Oh,
right?
definitely. Or
You can
canceled.
still
Yeah.
totally, you can still grow your business. Like foot traffic is doing better than it was before, but it's 100% been affected by COVID. Like we've had people
Mhm.
say, I'm shutting my brick and mortar. I don't need this program anymore. I don't need to, things like that. So I do see what you're saying. Like, I don't feel guilty that foot traffic is doing better than last year. Right.
Mhm.
Or maybe sometimes I'm like, do I need to help this business or that business? But sometimes you can feel torn of, should I be excited that we're having a better year or have that growth, et cetera? So that's interesting that you bring that up because you
Yeah.
are in a very unique situation where your business could have some explosive growth and continue to do that.
Mhm.
So I'm sure there are some people listening that may feel the same way or they're struggling with that. But yeah, it's been interesting to say the least, owning a brick and mortar, seeing what's happening over there versus what's going on online. And here's the thing, even as somebody in the brick and mortar, it's my responsibility to figure out what can I do? How
Mhm.
can we still serve? Do we need to pivot? Do we need to not?
Mhm.
But then there's been other recessions and other things going on where maybe foot traffic or a different type of business will be affected differently. So
Yeah.
we all have
Yep.
our time. All right. So I want to ask you, balance is a big thing for you. Like you are trying to do all the things. Like you're a mom, you're a very successful business owner. You're squeezing in all the things. What are your non-negotiables, especially when we maybe have less time heading into wrapping up 2021? Like what are a few non-negotiables you absolutely have to do every week or every day?
Mhm. And Stacey, I love talking about this with you because you are really good at this. Like I admire your discipline and your non-negotiables and the way that you prioritize certain things. And I feel like I'm an interesting balance, which is probably why I teach what I teach, but where I really am in this season, and I have been for the last 3 years of being pregnant with twins while having two little kids around. That was wow. That
Yeah.
was something else. Trying to get around with a twin pregnancy at the end is really hard. And then, newborn twins and breastfeeding both of them. And I don't have a full-time nanny. We did the first year, like combined, we probably had about full-time hours, but I'm breastfeeding them. Like I choose
Yeah.
to be very involved with the care, especially
Yeah.
when they're little babies. That's just
And you
something
also
that
have
I choose.
4 children, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
So
that's
you're juggling, right?
yeah.
You're rarely, I mean, never actually in the last 2 years were all 4 kids with one person. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like if 2 are with the nanny, then 2 are with us, or 1 in school. It's
Yeah.
a juggle. So between the season that I've been in, I've had to be really intentional with what are my non-negotiables, but how can they be really realistic? Because when you're breastfeeding twins, you can't leave for very long, or
Yeah.
you can't I just couldn't do a lot. So I like to encourage women because there's different seasons, right? And that maybe it's related to babies and pregnancy. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's related to your work or your travel or, caring for a loved one who's not doing well or something like that, where your margins change and what you can commit to change. So I always encourage people to look at their season, and don't compare yourself to other people
Yeah.
on the internet, even your coach, even who's telling you what you need to do. Because I had an experience where a coach, really out of pure love, pure encouragement, he was like, you need an hour to yourself a day, no exceptions. And I had newborns. My eyes welled up with tears. And I was like, okay, I'll try. I tried for like a week and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is so stressful. I can't do it. It's not working. So that's when I got back into my groove of my non-negotiables, going back to your question, being 10 to 15 minutes a day on my mat or some form of exercise.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like so crazy that if I miss a day, like again, I just start back the next
Right.
day. And maybe it's more, maybe, now the kids are a little bigger, maybe they sleep a little longer, maybe it's just, it works out. I can do 20, I can do 30. But if not, my non-negotiable is at least 10 or 15 minutes, because then I have at least started the day and done something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've done something for my well-being. It sets the tone for my day. So even if it's just like mentally starting the day by breathing, health is a priority, wellness is a priority, then at least I can go into the day and have done that a little bit. So that's a big one. And sleep is a pretty huge non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
I know you're big about sleep
People
too.
don't believe me when I'm like, I sleep minimum 8 to 9 hours a day. Like there's no way I would not be able to do that.
See, your goals for me, but I at least am like as protective as I can over my sleep. So I'm not even the type of person, and I share this with clients too. Again, you got to know your body, you got to know your season, but I will not wake up and cut into my sleep just in order to get a workout in. If I'm not getting my full sleep, because I mean, maybe occasionally, right? Maybe occasionally, but because I've seen so many people who do that on a consistent basis and they go, and they burn out their adrenals. They go to literally into burnout with their body and their mind. So I choose sleep first. Like that is a health non-negotiable. And then exercise comes next.
Okay. I love it. Well, and I love that the 10 to 15 minute thing, you're not like, I'm getting in 5 workouts in 30 minutes of time. And you're just like, no, 10 minutes. Like that's my minimum. And I feel like it's one of those things where somebody had always said to me, if you want to start a new habit or reading every day, just promise yourself you'll read 1 page a day, which sounds so silly, but you'll never stop at 1 page. You'll start getting into it. You'll find your groove. You'll keep going. It's the getting started that will get you going. So
it's the mindset hack. Yeah. And so I tell my clients all the time, just 10 minutes, honestly, get on your mat, press play, tell yourself 10 minutes. If at 10 minutes, you're like, I'm done, I don't want to do any more, then you have full freedom, go do whatever. But chances are you'll keep going because you'll realize, oh yeah, this feels good.
Right.
Or if you don't, you build the daily habit. And that's the first step that people often overlook. They go full speed. Same with business stuff, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I'm going to start, people say, I'm going to start, 45 minutes, Monday through Friday. Okay. Starting on Monday. And that's a huge leap to make for most people, to build that into your schedule and to actually stick with it. Yeah. Same with business goals or things like that. Like, how can you build it in a realistic way so you can actually stick with it? And then you can increase as you've got the habit.
Yeah. So we just had somebody ask us, like, can you share with me like what you do for content, like what you post and when you post and all that? I'm like hesitant, because when I show you what we do, I know you're probably going to be like, no way. Like I'm not doing that. So I had to reverse engineer and say, here are the first 3 to 5 things I would do. And then when you can start doing those, then I would go here. And then I would get to what we're doing. But for you to go from 0 to 100, with my team behind the scenes and you're doing it as a solopreneur, it's just not going to work the same way. So it is really important that you have those little milestones to really get consistent. Like, what did you say in the beginning? It's about consistency, not
Intensity.
intensity.
Mm,
Yeah, for sure. So good.
yeah.
Okay. So anything that you're doing differently or planning on, I'm just such a planner and prepper, and I know you are too. Is there anything you're doing differently, like as we head into maybe another crazy shutdown or any, I mean, I know you've got fires going on, so you already have a lot going on in California, but anything else that comes up for you as you kind of prep or plan your business, your family for 2020?
Yeah. I've been in a mood, and I don't know if anybody else has, but I have been like decluttering and organizing and
Mm-hmm.
planning, like nesting and like going kind of crazy. And I realized yes, my personality is a little bit more bent to that than the average
Yeah.
person. But I realized I think it's this desire to a control something in a world that
Mm,
feels really out of control. So it's like if I can set up some rhythms, routines, and system for
yeah.
our home, or even make our home feel a certain way, it gives me that satisfaction and productivity that maybe I'm not getting when the rest of the world is, not feeling that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a major, major mood with that. I've been decluttering. I'm getting back into weekly meal planning and meal prepping, and kind of getting those systems sorted out in our home again. I just
Mm-hmm.
totally lost that during, from
Yeah.
March to June. I was like, what's for dinner? I don't know. Chicken nuggets. I
Yeah.
just like that was one of the things that had to give. I was
Mm-hmm.
just we did some meal delivery during that time, which was really
Yeah.
nice. Anyways, we're back to healthy meals and the kids are like in homemade meals and my daughter's like, "Why aren't we having what I like anymore?" She's like nuggets and
Yeah.
pizza. I'm like, "Yeah, we're getting back to real good food, girl."
Uh,
But anyways, doing that. And then one of the things that I'm going to carry with me that I started during the having all kids at home, no
yeah.
school, no childcare. My husband and I both started waking up really actually not much earlier, but just arranging our mornings so that we actually work before the kids are up and around.
Mm-hmm.
So we both got in the habit of getting at least an hour, sometimes two, of work in before the day begins. And yes, part of that was because we let the older two watch a show when they woke up.
Yeah.
The twins sleep
Hey,
longer. So
no judgment here. I'm good with
yeah,
that.
it was totally worth it. And so that is something that I'm going to continue even when
Okay.
things move forward because again, things could maybe change at any moment, but B, it really was an interesting experiment and habit to start because I get to my computer when it's quiet.
Yeah.
No one else is really working on the team yet. No one's really awake in the house and I can tackle and I even can time block for that morning, like more those morning hours, right? Like I'm going to
Yeah.
work on this specific piece of content. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I don't just sit at my computer and try to figure out what to do during that time.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's time blocked and I use that hour or two before the house really is up and going. And that has helped my mindset throughout the rest of the day because I've tackled those big items that
Yeah.
otherwise would just be on my mind all day. Like, when am I going to get to this? I need to get to this. So that's
Yeah.
been huge.
Yeah. That's one thing that we kind of pivoted to was I kept asking myself, I can work out with the kids around, right? Like that's easy compared. Mine are definitely. I don't have little ones like you do, but I can work out with them being around. Whereas I don't want to work in my office when they're around because that is not that
Yeah.
easy. So I had
Mm-hmm.
to make those pivots too. Of I'm gonna when they're not up yet, I have got to do my most important activities now, and then I'll do the
Exactly.
other stuff later. So another thing that I did was I was waking up. I wake up around 6. But
Mm-hmm.
when they were starting to be home, I would wake up at 5 and I would squeeze in what you're talking about, that extra
Mm-hmm.
hour of work that all of a sudden lunchtime turned into a real lunch where we're hanging out, chatting, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't working anymore. So kind of getting ready to know that that would probably be something that worked well last time that I would maybe have to do again this time, but
Yeah.
having those
Yeah. It's
strategies.
it's good. That is a great way to say it. I think that going through your day and like what are those things I can do when kids are around, like even email. It was a great thing that forced me to make sure that I'm not using those solid gold work hours for
Yeah.
things like email. So I know you have a great system for email, but getting email out of, into something that, okay, I can do that later. I can do it at nighttime right after I
Yeah.
put the kids in the bed, or I can, squeeze it in when they're doing
Mm-hmm.
something in the afternoon. I can't record a podcast. I can't spend time writing, really thoughtful emails, things like that has been a really good practice
Mm-hmm.
to go through, even when you do have normal work hours.
Yeah, like really figuring out what really truly is the most important can't be done. Like it needs to be like in your best use of time. I know people always will disagree and say, but I'm a night owl. I love working in the evening. I find it hard to believe that your body and that your brain is really the most charged at the end of the night versus in the morning. I mean, just even trying to like get up and do those things first thing. I can't believe the game changer it has been for me not working later at night and just working earlier in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't help myself but throw in my health tidbit on that too.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't
Please,
want to ruin
please.
anyone's productivity if you are a night owl. So take this, run it through, your own reflection and let me know what you think. But we've been focusing inside our membership community. So once every month we have an off the mat wellness mission. So we focus on basically one area of wellness that's not Pilates related to help us live a healthy, fulfilling life. And so this month we are talking about circadian rhythms, which
Ooh, okay.
is fascinating. And it's basically your body's internal clock, right?
Mhm.
And how important that is for your health, your well-being, your inflammation levels, how likely you are to get diseases, sickness, your immune system, all of these things. And so there's kind of a lot that you could talk about, but one key thing is getting sunlight in the morning. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yep.
And that automatically wakes up your body, tells your body's clock, okay, this is morning, this is energy time. And speaking of when you're kind of most productive.
Yeah.
And then evening is when you need to be winding down and when you need to be not looking at screens, not wiring your brain even to be like, oh, okay, get done mode. I'm in get it done
Yes.
mode. Really, that shouldn't be happening in the evening hours because that is going to mess with your sleep. Even if you can go to sleep after that, which many people can't because they wire themselves
Yeah.
up. But even if you can, it's likely decreasing your quality of sleep and your levels of sleep. So you may not be getting that deep restorative sleep or that REM sleep,
Yes.
and it can throw off your hormones in significant ways. So again, you may listen to this and you may be like, yeah, that's not me. I feel really healthy. I'm all good. And I
Yeah.
love my night work time. I still work at night sometimes,
Yeah.
especially during COVID, right? So
Yeah.
you got to take it all and find that balance. But you may listen to that and you may think, oh my gosh, I feel like my hormones have been off. Like I am having a lot of cravings, or I have been
Mhm.
having this unexplained weight gain or inflammation or some of these other things. And that's something that people don't really talk about a lot.
No. And honestly, I thought I was a good sleeper. I was getting the 8 hours, but I have an Aura ring
I
and my
know,
Aura
I know.
ring.
I got it just because of you.
Yay. Okay, good. My Aura ring was like, I was getting like a minute of deep sleep a night. Like I wasn't getting deep
Mm.
sleep. And it wasn't because I was working late, it was other issues. But that really started to tell me, whoa, I've got some problems here that I didn't realize I had. So, right, somebody might think, but I am productive and I do get this done and I fall asleep.
Yeah.
But it might be the lack, the quality, all of that. So, thank you for
Yeah.
giving your
Yeah.
input on that. Okay,
Yeah.
Robin, before we go, where can everybody find you, learn more? If they want to check out one of your challenges or anything you've got going on, what can you share?
Yeah. So you can find me over on Instagram. That's where I love to hang out the most. And it's at The Balanced Life. Or you can go to our website, thebalancedlifeonline.com. And I host free challenges quite a bit. So we kind of mentioned that earlier
Yeah.
in the conversation, but it's basically built on the things that we talked about. So building that habit of 15 minutes a day for yourself. So I send you a free 15-minute Pilates workout that you can do from home. No equipment necessary. You literally, like, I try to take all the roadblocks out of it for us busy, busy women. So you roll out your mat, you press play, 15 minutes, and you're done for the day. And you can just do that. Or if if you love doing your Peloton or something like that, you tag it on afterwards for a great little strengthening workout. And so I run those year round. So you can go to my website and find out the information on that and sign up to give it a try.
Cool. What's the link?
You can go right to my website. So
Perfect.
thebalancedlifeonline.com will have it there.
Amazing. Robin, thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.